Hi, I'm Danny Nightmare, and as you can see, I like cool stuff, and I like cool t-shirts. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by the Etsy shop T-shirts and stuff. And if you got a dark side like myself, I recommend the Dark Ones Closet on Etsy as well. Come on, who doesn't like cool shirts and cool shit? Use the code HORROR13 and save 13% off your order. Would I ever steer you wrong?
Damn it! It's been muted the whole time!
Oh, wait, that ruined that whole thing.
That sucks! Okay, start again.
Hi, I'm Danny Nightmare.
I'm Gory Movie.
And we're Horror Addicts.
Hashtag blast.
And, buy our merch.
Like us on Facebook and Instagram.
Don't forget to share and smash that like button. Yeah.
Heart hands, we love you.
Okay, that's basically what that was. We're talking about when we met Joe Bob one time, and he asked us if we were influencers.
And it was about the worst thing I've ever been called. I like content creator. I like to think of myself as a creator, but influencer, I think just because there are some douchey influencers, it's just got a negative connotation. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what this movie is all about, exploring kind of the douchey side.
Yeah.
Whoa, hello.
Well, dang, thank you, 80s horror fan. I really appreciate it. Now I can hear... Yes, now the mic is on. Sorry about that.
So yeah, you got a $20 super chat.
Thank you. If anyone is an influencer, it is 80s horror fan. He influenced me to have a good day. Hopefully he's going to like this review. So, yeah, my answer was kind of like, I don't know. I prefer just supporter of the horror community. And someone who likes to talk about horror and spread the word of horror. I guess that's influencing somewhat. I don't know.
Not you want to be an influencer.
Not exactly what I like to call myself, but oh well. So we watched this movie, and I don't know, it was a little more serious than I expected. I liked it, but I thought it was gonna be really kind of silly and a little trashy, maybe. I don't know why, just because influencer sounds trashy to me, I guess.
You're a self-hating influencer.
But no, it's actually it's pretty well made. It's takes itself seriously, and it's fine. The tone...
I disagree.
Okay, maybe it doesn't.
I disagree.
The tone is more serious than I guess I expected it to be.
I don't think it has a serious tone at all. I do think it's very tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's tongue-in-cheek in a sneakier way, because it is definitely calling out some of the elements of being an influencer that are very fake. And I think it does it with a sense of humor, but I think it also does it in a way that a lot of people are just going to be like, oh yeah, that's just like so-and-so influencer. But I feel like this movie thematically is doing a good job of pointing out some of the hollowness of that whole influencer sphere, the fakeness of it.
Yeah.
And there's some humor in that.
Yeah. I mean, it's directed by Curtis David Harder. This is his fourth movie, and he loves drama in his movies. 3 of them have been thriller horrors so far. One's like a sci-fi horror called In Control, and then the other one was Spiral, and that was about like a gay couple who kind of gets terrorized by a shitty town.
Yeah, they have their dog. It's a little like Knock on the Cabin, way before Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah, but
I mean, I guess what I think you're trying to say is it's not a horror comedy.
No, that's kind of
I don't
that's
think
what
it takes itself seriously.
I went into this like I try to with most movies, pretty blind, and that's what I was like not expecting it to. I thought it was going to be like a kind of a trashy comedy slasher.
It's not a horror comedy at all. No. I don't think it takes itself seriously. I think this movie has a lot of fun with itself. Holy shit, dude!
Yeah, man.
80s horror, man.
Really welcoming us back.
Said, what does he say?
I love watching you guys and verse vids, But let's be honest, Rocky versus anyone would win. Just a joke, yeah?
Is that a Sunny in Philadelphia joke? Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocky versus anyone.
Rocky!
Frank took on Russia. And
He
he
did.
won with the anal beads.
Thank you so much, dude.
Yes, thank you. Phil, really welcome back. We haven't really been streaming lately. I took last month off. Danny with an I joined you like 2 nights ago, but now it's Mondays. That's kind of my day, so I'm back. I'm going to start doing these on Mondays again.
I'm still kind of figuring things out after my hiatus over on my channel, but I want to get more into making more videos.
Yeah.
So, and I've got some stuff planned, some stuff in the works. So, stay tuned.
We just had a really busy previous month. Our kid graduated. It was just a lot of stuff going on. We visited friends out of town. We did a lot of things. Also been just working on my movie, so hopefully can just keep on doing that. But also I want to start streaming again on Monday, so thank you very much, 80s horror fan.
Thank
Appreciate
you so much. So this movie is about a gal named Madison, and I feel like the movie does a perfect job of setting it up, because I think one of the things it points out is that influencers are very much, they're the main character. Mm-hmm. They are the main character of their lives, and that's how it presents itself. We just follow Madison. There's some people in the background and such, but this is Madison's story. Madison even flat out says that. Mm-hmm. She's like, no, this is my story.
Yep.
And about 20 minutes in, then you get the opening credits, and you realize, oh, we're not going to see Madison again for a while. So that's all we'll say on that. Thank you, man.
Yeah. We're really proud of him.
But yeah, it starts off, and it does really show kind of the hollowness of this like influencer lifestyle. Things to keep in mind when you're scrolling through Instagram and you're like, these influencers I follow are going to these beautiful exotic locations, but you don't know them. You don't really know what day they're really having. Maybe it is exactly how they say it is, but for Madison, it's not. She's in this beautiful place in Thailand, but she's not having any fun. She talks about how she's meeting all these people, but she's not. She's just hanging by the pool. She's not exploring. She doesn't know where to go. She's bored, and her boyfriend Ryan was supposed to go with her, but he bailed on her, so she's just really bored. It's a pretty place, but she's not having the good time that she's claiming to have. But she's telling everybody she's having a wonderful life.
On camera, she's on. She's having the best life. Off camera, she's lonely and bored, and her boyfriend reminds me kind of like one of the Paul brothers or whatever. He ditched out last minute and didn't go with her, even though they've been planning it together. I want to say thank you, man. Also, hey, Rich, what's up, Movie Massacre? Ariel,
and you got another super chat!
And 80s horror fan.
What the heck, dude? That's awesome. Another $20 super chat. I feel like at this point you need to earn it.
Yeah, like what?
I have no idea what you should do.
I don't know. I mean, I wish Danny with an I was here. She would have done something fun. But, I don't know. Let me know.
Here.
Let me read what he said. I want to read his comment. So.
Want to have your chats on your channel or on your stream. Oh. So give me just a second.
Okay.
I thought I had this done. Hold on.
Well, meanwhile, the one thing I want to say about Madison, though, is yes, that they present her as, like, someone who's somewhat fake on her Instagram and everything. They also don't, like, make her seem like a bad person. When you're getting to see real Madison, you actually can kind of relate and care about her. You're not, like, supposed to just hate her because of her being an influencer. They make her pretty real, and that's pretty nice.
I think a lot of these movies I've seen like this, there is a tendency to make the people who are influencers very one note, very vapid, not very, lacking a lot of depth. And Madison is a real person, but she's doing what she thinks she's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. She's smiling. She's promoting the product. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing. And it's not fulfilling for her. She's not being real with her audience, but I don't think that makes her a bad person. Yeah. She has a particular brand where she is traveling the world and having a great time, and she feels this responsibility to hold that up, even though it's not genuine.
Yes, we are old enough to have a kid to graduate. That's what a 80s horror fan said. Yeah.
Old dude influencer!
Yes, old dude. We are...
Hey, what's up, Christian Orr?
What up? So, yeah, but like I said, she's even second guessing what she's doing. Like, she doesn't think she's going to be doing this much longer. She's about ready to kind of throw it in. And when some bad stuff kind of happens to her, she makes a new friend for real. And she decides to, you know what? Screw that kind of stuff. Let's be free. Let's really explore the country and have a good time.
She also finally, well, she runs into some problems too. Again, like a lot of things you've heard about traveling abroad. Make sure your passport's safe because her place gets broken into, and she's gonna have to stay in Thailand longer than she expected. Her passport's been stolen, her money's stolen, but luckily she's made a friend who's letting her stay with her. And she also decides it's time to get rid of the boyfriend who got her into this whole influencer sphere. She's not happy. I don't know what her future is with influencing, but she doesn't want him in her future. And he is clearly the bigger influencer because everyone who leaves her notes and stuff is like, oh, say hi to Ryan for me. So
yeah, she does have that cliche, like, friend who's black and gay, and it's like, but they basically just want to know what Ryan's up to, and if he could, like, pass me along to Ryan, maybe he can help me, and I don't know.
But it's also the note left from the hotel. It says, say hi to Ryan.
Exactly.
Everybody mentions Ryan.
Yeah.
It's not just the one friend. This is all before the opening credits. So this is all set up. And, then we get out to the island, this remote island where there's no cell service. And they start telling spooky stories. And CW, the new friend, says, you know, she's like, Madison's like, oh, you could murder me here. She's like, oh, I'm not going to murder you. I'm just going to leave you out here. I mean, you can't drink the salt water and there's no food here. So good luck with that. And she's like, oh, that's a really creepy story. Ha ha ha. No, Madison actually does that.
Yeah.
Then roll the opening credits.
Yeah.
So that is
The
just your
influencer.
setup. And yeah, initially, you know, it looks kind of single white female-y. You've got this gal, CW, and she's got a lot more resources than the single white female types of who came before her had. She's got deep fakes. She's got voice fakes. And essentially, Madison's not the first person she's done this to.
Yeah.
She is able to deep fake Madison and take over her account. She's able to fake her voice. And she tells Madison, you know, no one's going to notice you're gone. And Madison's like, that's not true. But they don't. They're pretty easily fooled by the deep fakes and such. And, it's that's one of my small issues with this. I think you can maybe fool people who are just following you and are not super invested in your life, who've never hung out with you in person. I do think there's got to be somebody in these girls' lives, a parent, sibling, best friend who is used to seeing them in person, who's going to be like, hey, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. But I mean, the movie even points that out. Like, there are people who become problems. There's obviously a story and a struggle for CW to keep this ruse up. She runs into Jennifer, who is also, like, I would say probably even a bigger influencer, and that becomes a big problem because Jennifer kind of smells her shit coming from a while away. And then other people show up looking for Madison, and it becomes a real, like, mess for her. And that's kind of where you watch the movie from. I do like how they kind of give you that psycho thing right before the opening credits where they're like, hey, this is Madison's story. And then as soon as she says this is my story, it quickly becomes CW's story.
So I think that's really all you need to know about the plot. We won't tell you anymore, but there are plenty of twists and turns. That is not even...
That's just the opening credit twist.
Just the frosting on the cake is what it is. It's your basic synopsis. But it does talk a lot about, like, you know, yeah, a lot of people will be fooled because they don't really know you. And a lot of it is very generic. Like, yay, I'm so happy to see the Buddha temple, and just the generic things people say. A lot of these kind of accounts are pretty fake. You know, and people can be easily fooled because it's a very generic thing that's being pushed. Just being happy all the time, saying the same things every other influencer has said when they visited this location or about this product, about this thing, you know, and so it's easy to fake. So it's definitely making a point about some of that. And I think it's also making a point to people who follow influencers, like, you know, I guess expecting more maybe, and also not buying into the bullshit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially if it's making you feel crappy about your own life, because it's just a facade.
Hey, Fairport Station. Ariel says, I'm gonna read this because it's about an influencer. It says, anyway, she's watching Monday Night Raw and she can't wait for her Logan Paul getting a rematch. Apparently he's gonna get a rematch. Probably, I don't know who he's fighting. Probably Seth Rogen or something. Seth Rollins. Rogan. Well, anyways, yeah, I don't know. I felt like the acting was well. CW.
Well, something else I wanted to say was about CW, because you obviously can tell that CW is buying into this. She wants these girls' lives. You know, and why? probably because she's seeing that they're on, going to these beautiful places, and she thinks that they have something more than what she has. So she's coveting their lives and she's taking them over, but it doesn't offer her any fulfillment either. She does it for about a week, and then she's ready to move on to the next girl. So, I would say, like, it definitely has some interesting things to say. I think as far as social media influencers go, my two biggest recommendations are still going to be Sissy, which is also in Shudder, and Spree. I think those ones are really, really good. But this one, it does make some good points here and here without making your characters completely one note and just, making them people that you're going to just dislike.
Yeah, I think it does a pretty good job of kind of showing that breaking kayfabe in a sense, showing the behind the scenes of the influencer, but also showing how they are like on camera as well, which is very different. But that doesn't mean necessarily they're good or bad people.
It also kind of brings into account some other things too, like when an influencer tells you about another influencer. You're getting one part of the story here, and you don't know everything. I mean, anything about places they visit, products they're trying. You don't know the whole story. You don't know how much money they're getting. You don't know if it's a relationship thing. You don't know what actually happened. People can kind of say whatever they want, and their audience is typically going to jump on board. I also like how it points out some of the fake friends in the influence sphere. She has this best friend who's not a very good friend. No. As soon as the best friend talks to her boyfriend, he's like, oh, you're so much better than her. And it's just like, wow, you're a crappy friend.
Then later turns his colors again. Like, it's just, that's how they are. They will kiss up to what they need to get, but once they feel like they can throw you under the bus for some attention themselves, they will do that.
People who are just kind of trying to get something from you, and they're not actually friends. And maybe that's why CW is able to take advantage of these people, because a lot of people in their lives are not genuinely their friends. They're just there to get something, so they don't really know them. So I think for girls, there's a sibling or somebody in here. I think there'd have to be somebody who eventually would call bullshit, but we also don't know how long she's been doing this for.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and the movie, problems do add up for her, so it's not that the movie doesn't, in a sense, address this, but yeah, it seems like she's getting away with it pretty easily at first, but...
And I saw... Fairpoint Station thinks they did the boyfriend dirty. I think initially he seemed like a mega douche. I was like, Ryan, nah. You get to see some of the flashbacks and stuff, and I think it was kind of interesting because you have a lot of people in this movie, CW especially, who are very much coveting this influencer lifestyle. They want it. And yet I feel like Ryan wants Madison initially because she's real, but he's also diminishing what makes her special because his first thing is, you're real, you have something special about you. Let's make you an influencer.
Yeah, and that kind of defiles, in a sense, who she is, intoxicates the whole thing, and I think that's why they start to fall apart in their relationship, because they're both, now in their fake ways, where it was actually worked out really well at first because they were being real with each other. But yeah, that's kind of like how it is with all of these characters. Cassandra, or CW, played by Cassandra, she's got some issues. Well, obviously, access to grind with these people. She feels like they're entitled. Might have something to do with the birthmark on her face. She's still
don't actually learn much about her. That's one of my few complaints with this movie, is I wish we learned more about her. But then maybe it's because she doesn't know much about herself. She's not ready to explore herself very much. It could be because she does have a big birthmark, and yet what I do like, and it's something I was thinking of too, especially because Cassandra in real life does advocate, different beauty views and stuff, and has a big following, and she is gorgeous. What Ryan tells her, you could be an influencer. You're different. You're unique. You have a unique look. He's absolutely right.
Yeah. Even Madison and Jennifer, they always look at her like she's a nice person. They don't ever judge her for it. It seems like that insecurities that probably comes from her past, but it's all from that character's own point of view of themselves. Nobody gives her crap for it.
But if we want to get really deep into the film theory of this, another way you could look at it is maybe we're looking at this too surface level. She might not have an issue with her appearance at all, which she shouldn't, because she's gorgeous. Yeah. But maybe she's attracted to this influencer lifestyle where you get to sell people who you are. Yeah. You get to tell people, you may not be fun and outgoing, but you can tell people you are. You can have a whole brand on, I travel the world and I'm super outgoing and fun, and nobody's going to be the wiser. We have this character who is obviously psychopath, who kills people, who has a dark core to her, and maybe she is afraid of having real relationships because she doesn't want people to see that kind of darker side of who she is, and she's attracted to the influencer lifestyle where you get to tell people who you are, and they accept that and they like you anyway, even though they don't know anymore. They don't get to see your flaws or your hidden side of yourself.
If anything, it might generate some sympathy for her, but honestly, I think it's just symbolic because she's literally always wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's a mask that she's hiding behind, and she's finding these nice little masks to wear to entertain herself. So.
Fairpoint Station says, is Cassandra named after the character in Lane's World? No, that's the actress's real name. Her character name is CW.
We don't know. It might be Cassandra, but they never tell you. It's just CW that we know of.
But Fairpoint Station says, I think the movie could have said even more if they didn't age down the star a decade. Influencers can be over 30. I agree. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of people. But you know what's interesting? I like that you said that because even though we know that, I mean, hell, there are very popular channels with women well into their 70s, you know, cooking channels and such. There is still this idea that you have to be in your 20s. A very good example of that is Alyssa Sutherland, who was in Evil Dead Rise. She was told by her agent, you're 40, you're too old to have an acting career. It's time to find something else to do. Same thing pretty much Cassandra Peterson felt when she turned 30. Times ain't changing much. And then luckily, Alyssa Sutherland fired her agent and she got Evil Dead Rise. But it is hard when you're older. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself to be an influencer, but I have a friend in the community who is older than me, and somebody was like, who's the old lady? I'm like, what the actual fuck? This friend of mine is gorgeous and is not an old lady. I've been accused of being too old. So yeah, people have this idea that to be an influencer, you've got to be in like your 20s. And I do like that it's changing, but I do feel like there is still this idea that we have to be really young. I mean, even with like movies and such too, a lot of women, when they hit their 30s, they either transcend into like playing moms or they disappear.
Yeah.
And then maybe they come back in their 60s doing some more challenging roles and such. But a lot of them disappear, whereas men get to stick around. All of our superheroes are men in their 40s and 50s. That's okay. But our female superheroes are like starting in their 20s, like Scarlett Johansson and stuff, you know? Yeah. And when she got older, her character got killed off. So again, what are we saying here?
I believe Jennifer was a little older than the rest of the cast. Just her character anyways. But yeah, it's true. And then, like you were saying, just like Joe Bob and Darcy, they're like huge influencers as far as I'm concerned. Since Monster Vision, he influenced me to like want to do the stuff that I do here, just because I loved watching him on Monster Vision as a kid. And like you said, Cassandra Peterson, she was about to retire and give up on acting right before she got the Elvira role on the year that she turned 30. So, because she like left to go on her honeymoon, and she came back, there was like an agent like hunted her down, and like she became Elvira at the age of 30. But she was just about to give it up.
But yeah, I think especially for women, that is something that is always an issue. You know, worried that you're too old for people to be interested in you. I don't remember them especially saying how old Madison or Jessica was. But yeah, Jessica did definitely seem like she was in her 30s. Yeah.
And, yeah. I was going to say them, but I forgot. Alright, well, anyways, so I don't think we needed to spoil the ending. I was actually very satisfied with the ending. I'm just going to say that. Gory kind of called it, like at least had some theories, and they kind of came in, and honestly, I'm glad that happened, because I thought that was a great way to end it.
It definitely has some cool thriller things going on. I'm not going to call this a horror movie necessarily. It doesn't have anything especially gory in it. I don't think it's really horrifying, but it is interesting. And like I said, the way we've been talking, how it explores themes. And I do think it's thrilling. I think this is the kind of movie you're going to like if you like single white female. You know, thrillers like that. Movies like The Roommate. I'm trying to think of something more more relevant, more new. I just found out today my son didn't know who Coolio was, so I need to update my references.
Yeah, if you want to like a straight up more horror, like you said earlier, Sissy. That's a straight up similar plot, but way more of a horror movie.
Sissy's also a horror comedy, and that one does have really gory kills and stuff in it. Spree's also a lot more action packed.
What's the one where they're like they're trying to like the house people? They're like getting the house and they're influencing as well, but then the person running the house to him.
I had it, and then I completely lost it.
Yeah.
It was named after, like, the show.
I think Barbara Crampton had a small part
Barbara
in it.
Crampton was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is much more of like a thriller. I think it's kind of fitting that CW's name is CW. Makes me think of the CW network. It
Yeah.
feels like a thrilling summer special that you would get on like 90210 or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has that kind of CW hip young adult vibe to it. Let's see, what does Fairpoint Station say? I didn't see the alien sequence at the end. Maybe she shed her human skin and started spraying poison. I was shocked. What? You lost me.
That's the ending.
Yes. Such a good ending.
When the DVD comes out, that better be the alternate ending.
Yeah, and I think... Honestly, I think by the end of it, I think initially you're going to make a lot of opinions about characters, and I think by the end of it, the movie is going to challenge you on some of those opinions, and you're going to have maybe different opinions about the characters than you got on first meeting them. I think some of them are going to be more likable, or at least more interesting than you initially gave them credit for.
Yeah, everybody basically has kind of this opinion of every character in this, but they all, like, really don't know each other at all. Like, CW thinks she knows all these influencers that she's doing this to. She actually doesn't. And they obviously don't know much about her.
And you know what else? Something else I just thought of with this movie, too, when you think about these characters, and if you've seen it, I think you're going to see what I'm saying here. But something else is we get, I mean, it's actually Madison says something at the beginning of this. She says, you know, when you don't, you know, the world is a book, and when you don't travel, you've only read one page. In a lot of ways, in the influencer sphere, like being a lot of these influencers, your Logan Pauls, all these people that are really, really, really popular, you know, we see maybe 3 or 4 pages of who they are. Who they are is a book. And I think in a lot of cases, and with some of the characters in this movie, we read those 3 or 4 pages and we think we have them figured out, and we don't realize that they have more to them than we're getting to see. That they have valuable qualities that they're not even sharing with us, because they don't understand that they're valuable, because they're not things that they see other influencers doing. You know, they're just supposed to smile and sell the product and stuff. And, you know, hopefully this is, you know, we see more people just kind of revealing who they are and stuff, because I think that's what makes some of my favorite influencers really interesting.
I like them to be real or animated. So
I think
Like
you
cartoons.
can have fun and still be real, you know, because I think you
course.
do start to care about a lot of people you follow. I follow Dead Me, and I was really sad that, you know, his father passed away recently. And I think letting people in and sharing that stuff, I think it's good. Not that everyone has to.
No.
But I think that definitely helps people to understand that you are a real person and not just like a character, or just, you know, this one note idea. But I definitely think in this movie that proves to be someone's benefit, because these characters, they're just showing this, like, you know, this one little piece of who they are.
They're kind of playing poker.
And I think, especially with CW, there's a lot more there that is really, really scary. And, you know, they even talk about that with, like, you know, people you meet at the bar and stuff. You know, be careful. You know, you don't know, you know, people at the bar. You could be roofied. You could be hurt. Same thing with, like, you know, anybody you meet on vacation. I think there's a little bit of that. You know, be careful who you trust.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I think some of these people who are online, and I even, you know, have people online who tell me, you know, people like you and they tell you who you are, and, you know, you have friends and they tell you who you are. You're funny, or you're, you know, sarcastic. This is who you are. And I think, especially when you're presenting yourself online, you can get trapped into that, and you can forget that maybe you have other things to offer.
Yeah.
That haven't come out yet, maybe because you haven't been tested enough.
One of the things I like most about being a content creator is working with a lot of the other content creators. And first, you know, I usually am very impressed with their channels, and that's kind of why either they reach out to us or we reach out to them. Big things like the Oscars and stuff, I'm always tracking a lot of them down. But I'm impressed with their channel, but then I get to know them, and I'm usually way even more impressed. They're just like really cool people in this horror community, so...
I think absolutely, like, there's a lot of creators I know where I feel like the reason they are popular is because they are letting you see who they are. You know, my friend Steven, who's unfortunately been in the hospital for many months now, he is showing a lot of who he is and what he's struggling with, still being fun and everything. But I think that I think that helps a lot of people, have a loyal audience. In this movie, CW says they're going to forget who you are. And maybe that's because the influencer that she's putting out there is just, having fun and stuff. And we also saw this a little bit in the movie Fall. Mm-hmm. She has to like wear the push-up bra, and she's posting a certain idea of herself. But I think when you don't let people see the bad times, you don't let people hear your negative thoughts, you don't give them the whole picture, then you're very easy to copy.
And I'm pretty out of the loop when it comes to the mainstream YouTube community, but I think of the horror, like, we're all weirdos and we're just embracing it and we're having fun being ourselves.
I think that's what I love about the horror community is we're already the weirdos, mister. Yeah. So I think a lot of people in the horror community are more apt to show you who they are. Yeah. It's a broad generalization, but I think it is harder though for, especially for watching this movie. I can imagine it's a lot harder for people who are like travel bloggers or those kind of influencers where I feel like there's a lot of pressure to not have a bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
And that makes me sad for people who, if anybody who feels like that.
Yeah, I honestly there was like sympathy that was generated for almost every character in this movie. So you felt like sympathy for them. You also afraid of them. You're also disgusted by them. You get like all the emotions for everybody in this. So I liked it. I'm going to have to say see it. I think if you have Shudder, there's no reason not to. So yeah, it's on Shudder. And I definitely think I'm going to go right now and sell you on Shudder. It is amazing, and they're not paying me to say that.
Not sponsored at all.
No,
I'm going to say see it too. For me, I would say this is definitely one that's perfect for streaming. Mm-hmm. This is a good one. Exactly. It's a good one to watch at home in the comfort of your living room. I don't think it would have done super well at cinemas because I just don't think it's thrilling enough.
No, I wouldn't recommend going to the theater even if they had it. Or honestly, I don't need to probably buy it on a physical copy of any sort. But it's on Shudder, and I think it's worth your time on Shudder.
It's not something I'm ever going to rewatch, but I definitely enjoyed it. I was not bored. Mm-hmm. It gave me things to think about. And what more can you ask from something that's only asking for an hour and a half of your time? It's also, beautifully shot, well acted. This was a solid stream. Yeah. So absolutely, Shudder. Even if you don't have it, they do have a 7-day free trial. This is definitely one to check out. If you haven't gotten it, do the free trial. Watch Joe Bob and Friday. Yep. Watch this movie. This is the equivalent, I would say, like Fairpoint Station said, a good summer movie. Yeah, it's like the equivalent of a beach read. Yeah. Am I going to remember this movie in 5 years? Probably not. But it is a fun movie to watch in the summer. It does everything that you would want from it. And I think it actually has a little more depth in it than I anticipated going in.
That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. Is like, I was not expecting there to be so much depth, even though that poster right there, look how deep that is. I should have known. I was fairly influenced by this movie.
This movie influenced me. Oh my god.
Oh my god. All right.
I wish we were better influencers.
I'm under a little bit of influence right now.
I'm not.
Anyways,
I love these gooey straws though.
One more huge thanks to 80s horror fan. That was amazing.
Honestly, not the first time 80s horror fan has been really, really generous. That means a lot, and it makes a big difference too because we are not big influencers like in this movie who have pools and everything. No. So that takes us out to a movie to give us something to review for you guys soon. Yep. So. Yeah, that makes a big difference for us and definitely helps a lot, especially just because, our son is going all the way to college and stuff, and there's a lot of things going on. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, thank you. That really helps a lot.
And also just a thanks to everybody I'm seeing in the chat. Haven't been on there for a month, and just glad to see you all again. You're some of my favorite people on there, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Just watching people's stuff and commenting. I had a friend the other day. A lot of my real life friends, I guess that's what I'm going to call people I see that I don't know from YouTube. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them were like, oh, I watch your show. And I'm like, yeah, which one? They've never commented. They've never said anything. And I'm just kind of thinking bullshit. So, yeah, the fact that you guys comment and you actually do watch the stuff, when you put time into something, especially a video, it's the most rewarding thing is to know that somebody enjoyed it. So it means a lot that you guys are here hanging out with us, that you guys play games with us and enjoy the streams with us. I like that we've had some discussion about the film, so it's all really awesome.
I also just want to bring up how we met the Movie Massacre show when we went to his house, because he says, I'm private, I don't trust a lot of people. Well, he was trusting enough to invite us over to his house in the middle of the woods, and we showed up at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. And Gory was super trusting because he brought her tea and she
I'm
drank
the one
it
who
right
said
away.
initially this is a horror movie.
I know, because we were out and we didn't know the neighborhood at all. There's just a bunch of houses that are pretty far apart from each other, but they're all in the woods in a very dirt driveway, and we didn't know where we were going.
And,
Thought we might get shot.
Perspective here, all right? Perspective. In England, tea gets thrown around a lot,
Yes.
all right? You give tea to anybody, all right? If I'm in an emergency situation and someone doesn't bring me tea, I'm skeptical.
In America,
So,
we bring you a
yes,
blanket.
I drank the tea. You would accept a blanket from someone you wouldn't know, and you know what? They're not always safe. Ask the Native Americans. All right? You shouldn't just be accepting random blankets, but Americans do. Watch any movie ever about a tragedy, and what's the first thing they do in an American movie? They put a blanket over them. You don't know where that blanket's been?
It's got smallpox.
It could have COVID. It could have anything on it. So, yeah, I drank the tea. I'm British. It's what we do.
I pretend to sip the tea and waited till you were perfectly
But you
fine.
know what? Had he offered you a blanket, you would have wrapped right up in that thing.
No, I was too busy snuggling his pets. That's what I wrapped up in.
The pets are fake. They're actually anthrax.
Go check out
Check your kidneys.
Go check out our friend the Movie Massacre show. He's awesome. He also appeared on the latest episode of Screaming Soup, along with the Screaming Soup, alongside the movie Dumpster and Confused Reviews. So
He stole Gory being yeah. We're just deep fakes.
yeah, he's deep faking us both right now. If you pause it perfectly, you'll see the cartoon pumpkin.
We're actually living in as well.
Yeah, actually we are. The hole's
But
right
yeah,
there.
and I guess the last thing I'd want to say that I took away from this movie, I think sometimes these movies, especially if you create online, you're like, oh, I'm going to be judged watching this. But I think even if you create online, I think it's got some important messages to you about, if you're not having fun, you don't have to do it. It should be fun. It doesn't, especially if it's your income and stuff. I think a lot of people get pressured into doing stuff that's not fun for them. But it's always okay. We just took mental health break.
Yep.
And I think that's important. And I think it's important to always reassess. It's something that you can kind of get in a rut with.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, the only person you owe anything to is yourself. And I think if you're not having fun, no one's going to be having fun with you.
Exactly.
So another thing I took away from this movie is, you got to listen to yourself and what feels good for you. And if it's not working for you, change it up, take a break, do what you got to do. And I think people overall are pretty cool and will back you.
Yeah, and if you are an influencer or not, you're going to have more fun being real. So.
So, yeah. On that note, yes, I'm glad I took a break because I had to focus on my kid and stuff. But I also, I like doing the streams. I also really like making videos. And I am really bad at time management. It is something I've always struggled with. And I also really want to finish writing a book. That's something I want to accomplish. So I'm still working on this whole time management thing. But I need to figure out a way to stream and make videos and do other stuff that's important to me. So I'm figuring it out, and there should be some cool stuff real soon over on my channel.
Well, I appreciate you giving me some of your time to stream with me on this. And, if you haven't checked out our review of The Boogeyman, go enjoy the girls' night out with Gory and Danni, with an I.
That was fun!
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, I think we've influenced you enough. Cut!
Cut! Hashtag blessed!
Hashtag blessed.